Hello everybody, my name is Necroxis, and today we're going to take a look at some more Blizzcon information, namely the World of Warcraft What's Next panel. Hopefully, I'll get a little bit of a better reception than I did the last video, where I basically said the opening ceremony was 60+% filler with almost nothing new, which it was, but apparently, you know, I love triggering people, so, I guess to ease the triggered ones' minds, I actually liked this this What's Next panel a lot more than the opening ceremony. I wish they would have teased a little bit of the Warcraft information in the opening ceremony, and I don't know why they didn't spend another 5 minutes just being like, hey, Tomb of Sargeras, come see the Warcraft panel. I don't know. Anyway, they talked about 2 patches in the Warcraft What's Next panel. At first, I was like, are they really only going to talk about 7.1.5? And I kind of like noped out of the stream for that part. So I had to go back afterwards and read it because I was like, I was pissed that they were only going to talk about that. But then they finally got to 7.2 and I came back and I actually really liked the overall. With 7.2, it rounded out the whole thing that needed to be rounded out. So 7.1.5, there's like honestly not a lot of information to talk about, but I guess I can go over it real quick. If you're wondering why I'm looking down, I have a list of all of the important information that they talked about there. So for 7.1.5, you're talking about how this is the first small Legion patch. And they said, by comparison, 7.1 was a medium-sized Legion patch. And I would say that 7.1 is pretty meaty. It is a medium level patch. You know, we got an entirely new dungeon. We got a new bunch of quest chains and Suramar that unlock one every week. You know, we got some whatever the Helya crap is that is like nothing. It just opens up a bunch of new world quests, and then we got the tiny new raid coming out. So I would say it's not a large patch, but it is a medium-sized patch. So I agree. Like patch 6.2.3 in size, it's going to be basically system changes, new rewards, and evergreen content, which basically just wants you to keep playing the game while they're developing the next big thing in the game. And that's always been the case. They've always done that, so cool. They said now that these days, patches are designed to be broken apart into multiple pieces so that if one part isn't ready, it can be removed and the rest of the content can be released. I assume they're talking about the Nighthold raid, which maybe it's not entirely completed, and therefore they didn't let it launch in 7.1, although the argument could be made that, you know, it was too soon between Emerald Nightmare and the next raid and Nighthold. I'll accept that. But they brought this point up, and there was really nothing else I could think of in 7.1 that got removed, other than the launch of the Nighthold raid, which isn't coming until, I believe, January, or predicted January of next year. They said also 7.1.5 will bring Mists of Pandaria time walking, which is pretty cool. They're having 6 dungeons. I'm going to look for a picture. I don't know if they ever said which ones they're going to be. Let me look real quick. I'm sure I'll be showing some kind of pictures up here somewhere. Here we go, yeah. Temple of the Jade Serpent, Stormstout Brewery, Shadowpan Monastery, Gate of the Setting Sun, Mogushan Palace, and the Siege of Nizawa Temple. So, that's pretty cool. They did make it a point to say that they'll only be introducing time-walking dungeons for the expansion before the last one. So, they're not going to release Warlords of Draenor time-walking dungeons in Legion, and they wouldn't release Legion time-walking dungeons in the Queen of Jara expansion, which I'm like now convinced is coming next. And we'll get to that a little bit later in 7.2, but because it was too soon, which makes sense. So, yeah. They said they're bringing back the Brawlers Guild, which is fun. Brawlers Guild was really, really fun. I would argue it was really fun the first time around, for me at least. The second round where they buffed everything up, I don't even remember when that was. It was in Warlords at some point, I think. But I completed the Brawlers Guild the first time. I beat the whole thing. I spent like 20, 30, 40 hours completing the whole thing because the last round of 4 bosses are freaking tough. Especially the snake boss, where it's like a snake, that old school snake computer game where you can't let the snake sit on the same spot or it'll just basically one-shot you if you do it even once. and then the paladin guy who like shot holy energy everywhere, and you had to like absorb it to then decrease his shield, which you only have like a 1 minute enrage timer, that was the final fight of the Brawlers Guild. I cannot tell you how many times I've tried to do that, and I finally got it. But the second time around, I think I was only able to complete it the first time around because Warlocks have always been, for maybe not always, but for a very long time now, Warlocks have always been like a turret, at least destruction. It's been like a turret spec. You sit there and you shoot, and you turn, shoot, and if you ever have to move, you basically lose out on damage, you lose out on DPS, you lose out on keeping your stuff and uptime ticking correctly. Whether or not that's good, that's not even my point here. I don't think it is, but it's just been that way for a long time. But in Mists of Pandaria, we had the talent Kil'jaeden's Cunning, where you could cast while you were moving, but it would make you move slower. It was like a 15% movement decrease, and it stacked up twice, so it was 30% decreased movement speed. And that was really the only way I was able to beat the Brawlers Guild as a Destruction Warlock the first time around. Second time around, they removed it for Warlords, and I couldn't do it. I gave up. I think it was on the Snake Boss, because you have to keep moving backwards and like leading the Snake Boss around the arena so that it doesn't step over a spot that it was once at. And I just couldn't do it when I had to stop and then move and cast again, stop, move and cast again. I wasn't able to build up Burning Embers and, all the destruction stuff quick enough to get Chaos Bolts out and to kill it. So I got stuck there and I just gave up. So they're bringing it back. It's coming with dozens of new bosses. So I don't know if they're just going to remove all the new bosses and all the old bosses and just replace them all. I don't know if they're going to have like all of the old bosses plus dozens of new bosses. That'd be pretty crazy. Be pretty cool actually too. But I don't know yet. We'll have to see. I'll definitely check it out. I really enjoy solo content in this game. Like the Warlock Green Fire quest, which we're going to talk about again in a little bit. The Brawlers Guild was really, really cool. The Rathion legendary part where you had to fight him as basically a raid boss by yourself was really interesting. So I always like when they introduce little tiny, really hard solo challenges because I feel like it's all on me. It's about how good I am and how good my class is, honestly, also. That's a big part of it, too. If your class isn't very good, you're just kind of screwed. But it's really fun like that. And they're introducing more of that as well in 7.2, so cool. I'm looking forward to Brawlers Guild. I'll try it out at least. I have a feeling based on how Warlocks are in this expansion, I won't be able to complete it, but I'll try it out at least. There will be new shirts for the Brawlers Guild. If people don't know, you used to be able to get like shirts that you could equip that would give you like a little buff. I have the same one from Mists of Pandaria. It's the Bruce one, where the caption is just Bruce. That's what the audience used to cheer when you fought him. And then they made him Mecha Bruce in the Warlords of Draenor version. And I guess they updated the shirt automatically to be Mecha Bruce, which is what I have now. But that's pretty cool. They're also giving a Basilisk mount as a reward, apparently, which is interesting. So, overall, Brawlers Guild stuff is really, really cool. I was surprised to hear that they were going to bring it back. I was convinced that they were just being like, we don't want to deal with it at all, this expansion, so it's just gone. They did say it would be coming back at some point, but when they said it, it came off to me like, we don't even want to handle it, so we're just not having it this expansion. But cool that they're bringing it back. They're also introducing, this is still 7.1.5. It may seem like there's a lot of stuff, but I'm just like, talking about what I like and what I dislike about it. There's not really a lot of stuff in 7.1.5, but they're also going to have micro holidays in 7.1.5, which, they might last a day or two rather than weeks like the regular holidays. And they are part of building a living world. So there's going to be, they gave some examples, like for example, January 22nd, which was the day that Encourage opened up in vanilla officially, after people have been, for those who didn't play back in vanilla, there was this long quest chain to open up the gates of Encourage. You had to have like server-wide support where people were like giving tons of materials to fill up this basically server bar to get to the next part of it, and everyone was working together, and there was like raid content that multiple groups of 40 people had to do. So when they finally opened up on January 20th, that was the date, and they're having an Encourage Remembrance Day. I actually missed this part really quick, so I'm trying to see if they're going to explain what, I know they talked about it being like, oh, you can put some, you can like, it's about like turning in materials, just like the old way was. Haha, remember how cool that was? That wasn't said sarcastically, by the way. Just, it might have came off that way, but yeah, they didn't say what Encourage Remembrance Day was. But that was one of the examples. You could like give materials to build up some mini server bar for some reward. They'll have holidays that these holidays won't have pets or mounts, so that if you missed it, you don't feel sad because it was like a one-day thing. Another example was Volunteer Guard Day. You can patrol the city and keep it safe from NPCs that attack, which I think is pretty cool. Just as like a lore or like a role-playing. And I used to role-play a lot in Burning Crusade, Burning Crusade, Wrath of the Lich King, and the first half of Cataclysm. I was what I primarily did. I role-played. So that's really cool. I wish that would have been in the game a long time ago, because that would have been really interesting. I was in a role-play guild that was basically the Stormwind Royal Guard, which was pretty interesting. We all had, before transmogs were even a thing, we all had the Stormwind armor, or what looked as close to that you could get at the time, and we'd roleplay as like part of the Stormwind military and stuff like that. So that was fun. That was the good old days. When people talk about the good old days of vanilla, I'm only primarily thinking about the good old days of having fun role-playing. But that's one example. Another one is hatching of the hippogriffs. You get a baby hippogriff that can perch on your shoulder. Cool. Or Boat Day, which is like spring break for Azeroth. 7.1.5 will also bring back Blade's Edge Arena. I don't care that much about it because I don't PvP, but there's no gameplay changes to it. If you are interested in that, just updated visuals. It'll have a voice announcer which will call out things as they're happening. And then they got into more of the balance stuff, like we're looking at the talents and, blah, 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 blah. Some talents may need to be tuned. Some talents are ones that 99% of the players take, so maybe we should just make that part of the class and make a new talent. They keep saying they're trying to improve the feel of the classes, which I think they did for everybody but Warlocks. They actually made them way worse, I think, in terms of class feel. So hopefully they fix that, but they didn't bring up Warlocks. They brought up Rogues and Hunters, talking about Rogues wish they had Shroud of Concealment again. And they're happy to say that they're bringing it back in 7.1.5. And they're giving all Hunters traps back in 7.1.5 rather than just Survival Hunters. They realized that was a mistake. Apparently there's going to be catch-up mechanics for artifact knowledge. An example he threw out, which I don't even think is really official, but he just kind of threw out an example. But maybe if you're making an alts character and you're at 0 artifact knowledge, which is a huge grind, you could purchase levels with order resources up to like level 10, and they'll scale that up as it keeps going and people get more. And finally they said that 7.1 PTR is going up right after BlizzCon, so I wouldn't be surprised if, I believe the Helya raid comes out tomorrow, correct? Or next Tuesday, really soon. And then I wouldn't be surprised if right after that raid launches, the PTR will go up with 7.1.5. I probably won't go on it because there's really not anything interesting warranting that amount of coverage from me. But finally, more importantly, we get into 7.2. They confirmed what everybody had assumed who paid any amount of attention to the story and where it was going and what we had to do. Tomb of Sargeras is the new big raid coming in the big patch of 7.2. We are returning to the Tomb of Sargeras with all 5 pillars of creation, because right now in the game we have 4. We have the Tidestone, we have the Tear Valoon, we have the Aegis of Agrimar, and then we have the Hammer of Khaz'garath. The final one, the Eye of Aman'Thul, is in the Nighthold raid, which we're going to get when we kill Gul'dan. So we'll have all 5 by the end of 7.1. 7.2, we're going back to the Tomb of Sargeras with the 5 Pillars of Creation to seal off the portal, stop the Burning Legion's invasion, and basically save the planet. It is continuing the Order Hall campaign. I don't know if this means, and they didn't clarify, and I wish somebody would have asked them about it. I don't know if this means the Order Hall campaign, which they've also been calling like the Illidan stuff, which is like the Light's Heart stuff. They've also been calling that the Order Hall campaign, but I've always thought of the Order Hall campaign as your class campaign story. So we'll see where that goes with that. I'm hoping it's the class one, because a lot of the class ones ended kind of with like a to be continued feeling. The Warlock one did. it was kind of like, we enslaved the Eridar twins. Now we're going to go fight the Legion. And then it ended. And I was like, oh, okay. The shaman one was like, we saved all the elements. Now we can fight the Legion. The end. And I was like, what? The Death Knight one also, we got the 4 horsemen. Now the Legion will not stand a chance. The end. So I'm hoping this continues the class ones. And if they do, Blizzard, if you're watching this, if anybody from Blizzard's watching this, please send a memo to whoever's doing this. The Warlock continuation needs to have the return of Conrathad Ebenlock, who was the boss of the Green Fire campaign, who we didn't kill. We banished him with Jubeka, and because Jubeka had to stay there and keep him banished, the fact that she's now in our order hall and is no longer there, I would assume from a story perspective he either got freed by somebody else or was just able to free himself. I would love to see Conrathad's return as a wink to the rest of the Green Fire quest chain, because the entire Warlock order hall campaign is like, remember all these people from the Green Fire quest chain that you should have done because it was great? So I think it'd be cool if they continued that. There was a new faction, I forgot what the name of it was. It was like the Combined Might of Azeroth or something like that. That basically will be in the Tomb of Sargeras, or at the Broken Shore. There's new world quests, of course, including class world quests, which whatever that means. We're going to be making our way to the tomb, requiring claiming footholds and fortifying them. He compared it to the event of the Isle of Quel'danas, except that players would get to choose which buildings got reclaimed in which order, because if those of you who didn't play back in Burning Crusade in 2.4, the Isle of Quel'danas unlocked... It was kind of also similar to Isle of Thunder, where it began with just... Like, if this was the large island, you started out with just this tiny little part where your faction was, and it just kind of unlocked more and more and more as it went along, and it was unlocked through the game, not through the player's actions. So it was kind of like, once enough time had passed, the next part unlocked. But apparently, according to Blizzard and what this sounds like, it'll be more, what buildings do you want as a server to unlock that next part? And if everyone wants to build like a mage tower, then that one will be completed first, because you could work toward, I believe, 3 specific different... keep hitting my mic because I'm so animated. 3 specific different buildings. Here we go. Let's look at it. The Nether Disruptor, the Command Center, and the Mage Tower. Now that I actually have the screenshots, I can read these. So you can contribute to each one as you see fit with whatever... I don't know how you contribute to them. Maybe by doing world quests in that area. But this is called the Legionfall campaign. I believe that is the faction name as well, Legionfall. The Nether Disruptor is an arcane elven moonwell with the power to push back the nether energy emanating from the tomb and reveal previously shrouded secrets. When active, gains access to unstable portals and world bosses. So, the Command Center is a fortified base of operations for Order Hall leaders to gather together and plan their attacks across the Broken Shore. While active, grants access to class-specific world quests and strike forces. I probably will go to that one because I want to see what class-specific world quests are. I'm very intrigued actually into that. For whatever I feel or people think that I feel about Legion, the class stuff has been fantastic and I really enjoy it. So I want to see whatever next that is. And finally, you can also pick a Mage Tower, which is harnessing arcane energies to quickly move Legion fall forces throughout the Broken Isles and uncover challenging agents of the Legion. When active, grants access to challenge attempts, whatever that is, and fell protected treasures. So we'll have to see what all of that means because most of it is vague and unexplained. So in addition, while all this is happening and we have to reclaim the Broken Isles and eventually unlock more stuff, it's not a linear progression once again. It'll further unlock more of the story on the Broken Shore. But while this is happening, the Legion are increasing their attacks on the Broken Isles, and similar to the pre-launch of Legion, zones can just be invaded by the Legion. And at first I was kind of like, this sounds like a bad idea, but now I'm on board with it once they explained it more. When a zone gets attacked, so let's say for example Val'sharah gets attacked by the Legion, all of the world quests get disabled. The skybox turns dark, like how it was in the invasion. Legion appears in the skies. They begin sending down like infernals and all these kind of demons. And they basically replaced all of the world quests with these Legion invasion ones. And what got me on board was these count towards your emissary quest. So my fear was if it was an emissary for Val'sharah and that was the day it was getting invaded, you wouldn't be able to finish Val'sharah until the entire server cleared out the invasion, because it's a server effort. Then you could do it. But no, clearing out the invasion gives you credit to the emissary quest chain, which is really cool. And apparently, once you have finished the assault on the ground, this was intriguing as well, you can join a 3-player scenario. Your roles don't matter. Kind of exactly like the Mists of Pandaria scenarios, which I was so sad they went away because they were really fun. Little tiny things that 3 people could do. And you take the fight to the Legion ships in the sky and fight kind of like a boss at the end. So, interesting. They said there's different invasions for each zone. So, I'm really interested in that. I think all of that's a great idea. The Broken Shore stuff, I'll have to see how the different choices change whatever we get. I'm definitely going to be going toward the class world quest, like I said. But, also, flying returns. The thing that should never have not been in the game already, but they're bringing it back. The second part of the Pathfinder achievement is added. This requires no raid or dungeon content, just like the original 1 and 7.0 didn't require raid or dungeon content. Just outdoor gameplay. World gameplay. Flying will be unlocked account-wide, so I think 7.2 will finally be the time when I can make a lot of alts, because I'm making one right now. I'm making Holy Priest because I wanted to try healing, and it's just... she's not even at 100 yet, but it's just, like, before I even get there, I know, oh my god, this is going to be such a slog to just get to 110 and make her competitive with how long Legion's been out already. But maybe with flying, that'll help. Maybe with the artifact knowledge stuff, that'll help. Flying will be unlocked account-wide. Each class will have their own epic class mount. All of them look great, but I'm not the only one who thought this, by the way. Someone else pointed this out as well when I was talking about it. The Warlock one looks like the Dread Steed with a mask on and 2 horns here and 1 on his ass. All the other ones look so cool, I think. The Paladin one looks just like a charger. I'm not sure how it's going to fly, but it has the potential to be cool. But the Warlock one looks like the one we've had since vanilla, and I'm like, man, what a disappointment. And it seems to be that's what Legion is. It's, Warlocks are just disappointing this expansion. But all the other ones look fantastic. I really like the Shaman one like everyone else does. But I think the Priest one looks freaking sweet, and I'm so glad I'm leveling up a Priest. I have a thing for like bird aesthetics, and it's just the Priest one's just fucking an owl. It's just an owl, and it's so cool looking. And I love like raven motifs and owl motifs and like eagle motifs. That's why the Alliance has always been like part lion and part eagle, and that's why they're so freaking cool. And Blackrook Hold has like this raven motif, which looks amazing. And I love the Watchers have like the owl motif, which is just it's so cool. I love that aesthetic, and I'm so glad that the alt that I'm making happens to be the one that's getting the owl mount. So cool. So they're talking about, after the Nighthold comes out, the Tomb of Sargeras raid. They finally began talking about it. They gave a little backstory. The Tomb of Sargeras was once a temple of Elune that Egwene, the guardian and mother of Medivh, fought and killed an avatar of Sargeras up in Northrend, and then brought its corpse into the Temple of Elune, which had already sunk because of the Sun Ring at this point. And she locked its corpse underneath in the bowels and the deepest depths of the Temple of Elune, and its presence corrupted the temple, and it became known as the Tomb of Sargeras. And that's what Gul'dan raised up in the end of the Second War and tried to go in and steal its power, and that's why our universe's Gul'dan died. And that's where in Frozen Throne, Illidan goes there with his little faction of Naga, and they go through the tomb and successfully steal the power of the Eye of Sargeras. So, apparently some other part of the tomb has been sealed since the Sundering, which just apparently unlocks. But the beginning of the raid is going to be an infernal / pit lord boss that's going to the way they described it was pretty cool. It's like a giant fell meteor that crashes down and spawns in front of the tomb, and that's how you fight. And they say, like, that's how they like to start raids, with, like, a big epic moment. And that sounds pretty freaking sweet. I don't know if the model for that boss is complete, because it looks kind of goofy. I'll show it right now. Maybe it's just because we're looking at it from a front perspective, but it looks kind of silly. It definitely is it definitely is like an infernal pit lord, which is weird. But I hope there's, like, more effects added onto it. But after that, we'll fight a boss, which looks really cool. I don't know how his fight's gonna be, but it's like a melee. It's like we fought like a jailer kind of boss before. They're the ones that don't have legs that kind of float there. Like, they have the weird skeletal face, and they use kind of like the ones that summon the eye mobs that, like, do the lasers that spin around. We're fighting like a melee version of that with, like, a really cool, like, bone scythe, which looks cool. I'm a big, like, look, guys, Diablo 2, Necromancer for, 10 years I played that game, Warlock for 12 years playing World of Warcraft. I love, like, the bone and the demon and the death aesthetic and, like, the scythe. So, cool. Between that and, like, the owl and, like, the bird stuff, 7.2 has, like, really cool aesthetics that are, like, poking at me like, this is cool, isn't it? I'm like, yeah, it's cool. So after that, there's Naga there again, apparently. So I swear to God, I tweeted this out. It's like, whenever Blizzard's like, let's have a Legion raid, they're like, fuck it, throw some Naga in there, because whatever. Interesting, in the Q&A, actually, Redshirt guy actually asked about the Naga in Azuna and in this, and was like, yo, why are they with the Legion? People seem to assume it, but are they with the Legion? And Blizzard was like, oh, I don't know. I mean, the way they talked about it in the Q&A, and you can go and watch that if you want to, but it was mostly bullshit with, like, 3 interesting answers about, like, Rathion, Ajara, and I don't know, something else that I can't remember. But the way they talk about it, they keep hinting that, like, Ajara is coming. Ajara is coming. Ajara is coming. And I'm like, just give her to me! Because, like I said in my top 5, she's my second favorite character! And now that Gul'dan's gonna be dead in 7.2. That's dicks out for Gul'dan. Let's get that hashtag going. Ajara is next on the list. So, I'm really hoping, based on what we're going to talk about in a second, after that's done, it's like, oh, fuck, Ajara and his author back, finally. But there's 2 Naga bosses, just because, whatever. Legion, they can't think of enough things, so let's throw some Naga in there. To be fair to them, against my own criticism, there were Naga in the Tomb of Sargeras and Frozen Throne. They were just under the control of Illidan and Lady Vashj at the time. So I assume these ones definitely won't be. I'm not saying that, but I assume it's just like, oh, this is from me speaking as like the Naga. Oh, these heroes took the Tidestone of Golganath from us in Azuna, and now they've come back to the tomb with all 5 of the Pillars of Creation. Let's fucking kill them and take them all, because they're all here right now, so do it. That's like what my logic is. They're definitely working for Ajara. They're not with the Legion. The Naga's whole thing is they use the chaos of other conflicts to like jet in there and get their thing done and then leave, or just take it over and then it's theirs. That's what the Naga really do well. Especially when they're backed up with the Old God minions, like we saw in Cataclysm, in whatever that zone's called, the Underwater Zone, and how they just brute force and just wreck Neptulon's face when they summon the Old God minions. And them together with the Naga are just like almost unstoppable. So that's pretty cool. After that, we're fighting the Avatar of Sargeras, where they're just like, hey, I will point out that the Naga Brute, before we get to the next part, the Naga Brute model looks really stupid, but there's something about the new Naga Caster Lady model, which looks, I don't know if it's the model, excuse me, the armor, but she looks really freaking cool. And at first when they showed this picture, because they kind of put the picture up before they finished explaining, and I was like, oh my god, is that Ajara? I think her model should be more important, like more significant than that, but I was willing to accept that as like, that's Ajara, because it looked really interesting. So after that, we're fighting the defeated Avatar of Sargeras, which is back somehow. I forgot who pointed this out. I think it was Tyranor on Twitter, but I like how they kept with the the lore, like the old lore of how Egwene defeated the Avatar of Sargeras. She basically like blasted it with as much power as she can, and it like charred its. I think its skin was originally red, like Sargeras, but it charred it black. Excuse me. And now the fallen body's skin is black. So I don't know if that was intentional or not, but it was interesting. We have to fight. Yeah, we have to fight the fallen Avatar of Sargeras as the second to last boss, and finally, to the surprise once again of nobody, the final boss of Legion, or excuse me, the Tomb of Sargeras, is Kil'jaeden, and it's a fully summoned Kil'jaeden. I don't know if we're going into the Nether. I'm fully summoned is my assumption. I don't know if that's true. But we're fighting. He's not like in a pool of energy, like with his arm sticking out, but he's like a full model, as you can see here. He looks cool. Like, he looks really cool. I don't know what's with the scar over his face. I don't know if I'm forgetting that something said that in the lore already, that he had a scar over his eye. Or if that was supposed to be like, that's what when we killed him in Sunwell. But he has his little cool little necklace back again. He looks dope as hell. And everyone thought this was going to happen. So, cool. I'm down. So, that's the raid. And then they basically said, hey, remember how everyone liked it when we kept adding dungeons when we added new raids? Guess what? We're doing it again. So there's a new dungeon called the Cathedral of Eternal Night, which is a 4-boss dungeon in normal, heroic, and mythic plus. They didn't tell us much about it, but basically the gist of the story is we're using the Aegis of Agrimar, which is the shield, to somehow open up the way into the tomb. I don't know how we're doing that, but we're going to do that. Can I just say before we continue on, let me move this a little bit because I gotta readjust my seat. Can I just say, I think, and they haven't said this, and I'm kind of bummed out that they're not, but I think there needs to be a boss fight with Nisha, the ghost of Nisha, and the dead Watchers that Illidan murdered in the Tomb of Sargeras. For those who didn't play Frozen Throne, Illidan and the Naga went into the Tomb of Sargeras, like I explained, to get the Eye of Sargeras power for him. And following him was Maiev and a faction of the Night Elves, her Watchers. And they went into the tomb, and Illidan trapped all of them there and killed them all, basically, when he collapsed the tomb and sunk it again. But Maiev was able to escape with her magic. And the rest of them died. And her second-in-command was the name of Nisha. And Nisha's death at the hands of Illidan, broke Maiev, in a way. And she still talks about it. If you go to Moraine Crusade right now and do Black Temple and fight Illidan, when Maiev shows up, she says, this is for Nisha, when she kills Illidan. So, I really wanted there to be, a fight with the ghost of Nisha. Maybe she came back to life because of the Legion's corruption coming back. Maybe the Legion brought her back. I don't know what's going on. I don't know how Illidan plays into any of this. He's not even mentioned. Although at the end of the Nighthold raid, he comes back to life. So, but I really want the ghost of Nisha and, a faction of Watchers that were dead to be, a boss encounter. Maybe something even if it's in the dungeon, that would be pretty cool. Which is why I brought this up, because they didn't mention any of the bosses in the dungeon. But the dungeon or the raid, there needs to be an encounter with Nisha and the Watchers. Maybe it's they're all back to life, and Maiev is there with Gerard's Shadow Song, and maybe Illidan's somewhere else. And maybe Maev's chasing after him because she's like, oh, I can't believe he's back, I gotta get him! Or whatever. But maybe we're with Maiev and Gerard, and we come across this encounter, and Maev's like, oh, fuck! And we, help her and Gerard, fend off waves of, ghosts, and then ghosts, and ghosts, and ghosts. And then Nisha's, the final part of the fight. And we help Maiev, defeat Nisha, and then Maiev, snaps, and we, fight Maiev. We don't kill her, because I love her, we're not gonna kill her in this scenario. She, snaps and, blames us for, first of all, killing the ghost of Nisha. And then she also blames us for working with Illidan, who caused Nisha's death and all the Watchers' deaths. And she blames Gerard, maybe for, the wolf heart stuff. Maybe they'll reference that again. But then we, fight Maiev as, the final phase. Maybe, the mythic phase, if you want. Or the heroic only, as part of the fight. I think that would be a really cool boss fight. And I really want that to be part of it. It doesn't seem like it is, but I hope it is. So, that's the Dungeon Cathedral of the Eternal Night. They're going to have PvP brawls, which are apparently inspired by brawls in other Blizzard games coming in 7.2. They're going to be fun little goofy things that I'll be like, who gives a fuck about balance? Here's a thing you can do. Some of the examples were South Shore vs. Terran Mill, they're going to bring back. Not just going to be an anniversary thing anymore, it'll be a brawl. Warsong Gulch, you're able to cap the flag without requiring your own flag, which will be like a race to whoever can just get there and get back first is going to win. So that'll be interesting. And a regular arena map where it's like 15 versus 15 in such a small contained area, which could be cool. Arathi Basin where it's like winter and you like can't see more than like 60 yards ahead of you and all the water's frozen so you can run over it. Eye of the Storm where everyone's on a ram mount that can like knock people away. And then they also showed off Eye of the Storm where gravity just didn't work. So PvP is nothing. It's never anything I've ever been interested in. I did some in Legion because Demonology is broken in PvP. And I did some for just the quest basically, and it's pretty fun. But if these are all the ones they add into the Brawl, I'll try out the Brawl. I hope, unlike the other Blizzard games, the Brawl actually is worth doing for like rewards rather. Because right now most of the Brawls in, HOTS when they're adding in Overwatch. And even Hearthstone, like the brawls in those games, they don't reward anything. It's just kind of like play this goofy thing. I hope that these have rewards of some kind, which shouldn't be hard. But then they get to the artifact again in 7.2, and look, guys, people, I guess apparently people disagree with me on this one, but the artifact knowledge and artifact power is like the worst grind this game has ever had, and I don't care. I'm not gonna move on that point because I've seen it. I've been playing since vanilla. It's like the worst singular mechanical grind the game has ever had. So get ready to be mad about this next part. But they're talking about empowering your artifact. They're introducing another gold trait for every class and every spec. More 3-point traits. They're also gonna let you put another point into all of the other 3-point traits, so they're all going to be 4. They basically said 15 new points will be added, and more artifact knowledge is coming. And how I know that nobody likes the artifact system is because when they said this, it was deadpan silent. Whereas every time else they've been talking about PvP, or 7.2 at all, there's been like cheering because everything else looks really great.
Of course, in order to make this reasonable, in order to make this not just a ridiculous, insane grind, there will of course be new artifact knowledge levels that will let you continue to catch up.
But this, there was like nothing. No one said anything. You could hear like a pin drop, and then they were like kind of, okay, anyway, look at these new models you can get for your artifact. But, so they're saying they're introducing new kinds of relics that will give you bonuses to 2 traits, which seem exceptionally overpowered, but whatever. 7.2 is going to continue the artifact quest line, allowing you to unlock previously mentioned new traits. So basically you have to do another quest chain that I'm positive will be gated behind time or something else. You'll be able to unlock another appearance, and this is what I was talking about with the solo content. The new appearance for every spec will be a solo player skill, the mastery of your specialization. Inspired behind things like, or by things like the Anathema or the Benediction priest quest chain, which was, I never got to do, but I helped a lot with guildies who did it, which was really fun. The Warlock Green Fire quest chain, which I did complete. The Hunter one with Rockdalar, back in vanilla. I think it was in BC too. You could do it still before they removed it. So it's a solo experience, and I hope it's gonna be. I hope I'm able to do it as a warlock. But it seems like it's catered to each class. Like it's gonna be catered to your class and your spec. So hopefully I'll be able to do it. I mean, I did Green Fire. I just basically bashed my face against it until I completed it. But they showed off all of the skins, and I gotta say, much like the flying mounts, they all look really cool, except for the Warlock ones, which I don't think look that good. I just don't. I don't know what it is about it. They don't. The Scythe looks like the least terrible, I think. I don't know, man. This is like the expansion where everyone gets cool shit and Warlocks get, like, nothing. Anyway, Warriors get a flail, which looks really cool. Guardian Druids become like a werewolf bear, which is freaking sweet looking. Yeah, all the new models look really great. They also said that Quarterstars and the Arcway will have a heroic version and will be able to be queuable. They're going to split up Karazhan into the upper and lower sections, have a heroic version of that, so you can be queuable, and therefore now that they can split it up, they can make Karazhan have Mythic Plus. And having completed Karazhan, I don't know how the fuck anyone's going to do Mythic Plus on the upper half and beat the final boss on higher difficulties than it already is. That shit's impossible almost as it is. And I barely completed it. So, I don't know. New Keystone affixes are coming. They said 7.2 is soon. It'll come to the PTR right after 7.1 is done. They basically said there's always going to be new stuff on the PTR, which I really like. I hope they stick to that, because every time they promise something like this, they fail it. But they basically said whenever something goes down on the PTR, right away something else is going to go back up. So 7.2 is coming soon. It'll be on the PTR right after 7.1.5 is off of it. I'll be on the PTR looking at all the cool new stuff for 7.2, so look for that. And then they finished it off basically surprising a lot of people. I don't know if I was as surprised. I was surprised for a different reason. I was surprised that the announcement wasn't like, we're going to do this in the next expansion. I wasn't expecting like an expansion announcement. I was just surprised that they said we're going to go to Argus in Legion, which I would have thought Argus deserved its own expansion. After I thought about it, though, if we can just get through the Legion stuff, which look, I like the demon stuff and all of that shenanigans, but this idea of the Legion and Kil'jaeden and Archimonde and Sargeras has been going on for so long that at this point I'm just like, is it the end of them? Great. If we're going to Argus and we stop the Legion forever somehow, Deus Ex Illidan sacrifices himself to kill Sargeras or something, cool, I'm in. Because after that, we're going to Ajara, so cool. So after 7.2, we're going to Argus, and that was kind of his like mic drop that he's done. He's like, by the way, after 7.2, going to Argus, bam! And that was the end of the panel. So, cool. I think now that we know for a fact that Legion will have Argus in it, that for sure now, the next expansion is Ajara. We're going to go to Legion, which means we won't be on Azeroth. We're going to go fight the Legion on their own planet. At their capital planet, I guess, if you want to call it that. Now that we're going away from Azeroth into space to fight, I am convinced 100% now. 100%. No room for even any wiggle-woggling. So when I'm wrong, I'll just be wrong. But I'm convinced 100% now that when we're away doing the Argus shit, Ajara is going to be like, all the heroes are gone. All the people that would stop me are gone. Hey, N'Zoth, are you finally awake, you piece of shit? Let's go invade the whole planet, and then that's what's going to happen. So, I'm excited. I tweeted this out. I don't remember exactly how I worded it, but the opening ceremony left a sour taste in my mouth, and apparently people got super triggered that I accurately pointed out how much of it was filler on my last video. But this, I went away with being excited. And as someone who may have seen if you may have watched my Legion recap video, I've been pretty down on Legion, but if all of this is true, and if they deliver on all of these things, I think this has a great chance to salvage Legion, at least for me. I'm not going to say salvage Legion as a whole, because apparently plenty of people love Legion, although, like I said in that video, I really do see more people coming around saying, like, Legion has a lot of problems that we missed, just like with Warlords, but, anyway, ignoring that. If this is delivered in the way that it is, and if we somehow go to, like, Argus and, like, 7.3 and 7.4 is, like, the raid where we kill Sargeras forever or something, that could really salvage Legion. I think it'd be really great. I'm really excited for all this stuff. Even 7.1.5, Brawlers Guild, I'm interested in trying out again. Even some of the PvP stuff in 7.2, I'm like, wow, that's interesting. The Brawls, I'll try those out. The Nighthold raid seems interesting. There's a new dungeon on top of that. Flying finally will be back. I don't think I talked about what we needed to do to get flying, but I think they didn't really explain it. You needed Pathfinder. I think you had to get to Revered with the new reputation. You had to explore all of the Broken Shore areas again, and you had to complete the storyline. I think are all the things you have to do. So that's how you get flying. But other than that, I'm really interested in 7.2. I think, like I said, the opening ceremony left me with a sour taste in my mouth. The whole BlizzCon still was very much a geek is light kind of year. There still wasn't a lot of information. Maybe I'll do another video with Howie and Dunn talking about overall BlizzCon, but this was, I think, the meatiest part of anything at BlizzCon. And it was really interesting. It was really intriguing. I left the opening ceremony, once again, with a sour taste in my mouth, and I left the What's Next panel excited and hyped, and I did not expect that would happen. So, damn it, World of Warcraft, you can still get me. So, thanks for watching, guys. This was my thoughts about the World of Warcraft What's Next panel. Maybe at some other point I'll make a lore video in response to all this, but I think I'll probably wait until I get into the beta to see the 7.2 stuff, because otherwise there's so many vague statements of things that may be happening that I don't know if I could make a video and feel comfortable publishing like a long thing talking about the story of 7.2 and we don't even know if it's happening. But this video at least is done, so thanks for watching. Look for maybe a recap of all of BlizzCon with Howie and Dunn, or maybe just by myself. And yeah, I'm going to try, and I'm making it, like I said, my Priest alt, so eventually there'll be a Priest campaign that goes up. I made a Paladin alt too to start playing, so that'll eventually be up, even though I know those two work together. Maybe that's why I made the Paladin alt right after the Priest alt. I don't know, whatever, but whew, let me know all of your thoughts about all of this in the comments below. But until then, thanks for watching. You have any suggestions of what you would like to see? Leave those in the comments below. If you want to help out the channel, share this video with anybody you think would find it interesting. Make sure to like the video, leave any comments you have. But other than that, I'll see you guys for the next video. Stay awesome, thanks for watching, and yeah, farewell.